Yeah, sound guy, can we turn Emmanuel's mic up a little bit, please? Like, all the way? Up.
Anything? It's getting better. Ah, that's
Yeah.
There we go.
All me. It's all me.
I don't have much to say anyway. Like me.
Debate.
Have we verified we have a signal going to the other room?
Oh!
The projector's busted. Oh, nice. We could go without those people, I guess. People on that room, a bunch of losers. Well, they can't hear me say that, so it doesn't matter.
For those of you who are dyslexic.
None of you are going to tell them. Whoever's been imitating my voice, stop it now. Not funny.
Yeah, Chester, you do a really good Emmanuel. Gosh.
Just so people know, this is a social engineering panel, but we're also kind of co-opting it into a Kevin Mitnick panel because we're actually able to get him to join us via phone link. The problem, there's a slight problem in that we are trying to get the phone line here, and we have to bribe the hotel people to let us use one of their lines, so we're in the process of doing that. We have a line. Okay, the bribe has gone through.
All me. Yes.
Okay, first, does anybody have that, a few people showed me a little press release from AT&T. Could someone bring that up? This is really kind of cool. Goes to show how the power of suggestion.
What's up, yo? Yo, come up here.
Yes, no, yes, no.
Go that way.
Don't worry about your foot.
Go through there. Go over there.
Try not to pull off
Fern.
Okay, this, a bunch of people got this, this little memo. Be aware of who is calling. AT&T Security warns employees this weekend to be especially careful about giving proprietary company information to anyone claiming to be an AT&T employee or customer as part of a H2K hacker conference. July 14th to 16th in New York City, there is a social engineering contest.
Oh, that was painful. Thank you.
There was a social engineering contest where hackers try to use the phone in an attempt to gain proprietary information about a company. If anyone unknown to you calls for such information, request a callback number and check it before returning the call. Verify the person is an AT&T employee or legitimate customer, and if he or she has a need to know. If you can't verify employment or the number, don't give out the information. Any incident or apparent attempt to compromise the security of the company's network and or computer systems should be reported immediately to AT&T Corporate Security. I think AT&T Corporate Security should be the first target. I'd like some more information about this myself. So, I guess what we have to do is, we have to get, first of all, do we have a link to the other room? I want to make sure they're
Can
okay?
they hear us?
Hang on, can they hear us in the other room?
Okay, can they hear us in the other room? I guess my mic is not on.
Okay, we're not going to go further until they join us with the audio. It shouldn't take very long. It only took us an hour on Friday to figure it out. So we had it working before.
By the way, the phone number for
This
corporate
Chris, the AV guy, give him a round of applause there.
phone number for corporate headquarters,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
908-221-2000 is AT&T corporate headquarters, Asking Ray, New Jersey. Corporate headquarters, try to reach corporate security.
Okay.
Yeah, just ask for the ESA. Hey, look.
Well, we've got this memo. What does this mean?
All right. Well, they might not be open. It's just kind of weird when you think of it.
So we still don't have audio together, right?
I'm waiting for.
We have audio.
Hello, other room.
Okay. You're not missing anything because there's no video except our faces. And
You all already know what we look like.
Yeah.
Unless you're a federal officer, then you don't really know. You need to know what we look like. So.
Okay, well, I want to start with zero knowledge, okay? So that you gave us a phone number. We don't even have that yet. So let's start with nothing, all right? So let's get 800 information. Getting fast busy here. Yeah, I got it on there.
Oh man, you paged me.
This is such a crude version. Okay, I got to ask people to be quiet because 1,000 people laughing kind of tips them off. Remember when you got an operator right away? Let's go on hold.
But we know that our call is important to you.
No. The cable plugged in here was running through the projector.
Is this loud enough? Can you guys hear this?
This was laying
Bring up the phone.
Now, we have video on SkyTop.
Your call to toll-free directory. Please continue to hold.
Say what? Excellent, thanks.
No,
It's not that kind of feedback. That's feedback. Tell me about feedback. See, years ago when they had people working for them, you would call and you'd get a person and they'd give you the number. Now you got to hold and wait for the one operator that can push the button to play the computer message.
Someone will be with you soon.
Maybe this is some of the information they're not supposed to give us this weekend. You know?
Thank you for your patience. Your call will be answered as quickly as possible.
Uh-huh.
Which in AT&T's world is not very quick.
Just enough time for 2 games of solitaire.
Let's introduce ourselves while we're waiting for this. Cheshire Catalyst.
I'm the Cheshire Catalyst, and my claim to fame
Please
this week
remain
is
on the
I
line for your number.
I live in Central Florida. When they split up 407, I went through the list of available numbers and decided that the countdown capital of the world should have area code 321. And the Public Service Commission won.
Hello?
Is anyone there?
I'm sorry. The words Public Service Commission.
All right.
The words Public Service Commission throw fear into any telephone operator.
All right. Let's dial 9-100. Maybe we'll luck out this time. Actually, when I'm on the phone, you can turn my mic down. That way there won't be feedback. Okay?
Good safety
Is
tip.
the phone up? Okay, I guess it is. They already said that? Please try again later, like they can't even take our call at all? All right.
We're hanging up.
The other thing, let's signal the people before we hang up so we don't blow out the speakers. He didn't even do that. He didn't even do that.
All me.
We're hanging up now.
Okay, hang it now. I'm going to pick up. Okay, we're up. We're going to hang up and then we'll press it.
Snap. Okay, we need phone now.
We need phone.
We are unable to answer your call at this time.
Okay, why don't we just go with the number we know from
All right.
corporate headquarters?
As you can see, it's
We're going to hang up.
As you can see,
We're going to pick up.
as you can see, it's getting harder to get information. They're getting better, but the problem is that they're cutting off all information to everybody.
908
withholding information from us.
Yeah.
221 2000. H&T corporate headquarters in Basking Ridge, New Jersey.
Okay.
Phone up. Phone up.
Yeah, Yes, hi. I'm calling about a memo I received concerning something called social engineering. Do you know anything about this?
No, I don't. You received it from whom?
I received it was an AT&T corporate memo. I'm here. I'm in marketing on 34th Street, and I'm sorry. I'm having trouble hearing. It's a bad connection.
Do you have a name of this one?
This went out last Thursday, I believe.
Corporate security.
Yeah, it came up with corporate security.
It came from corporate security?
Yeah.
Okay, I have the corporate security number.
Okay. What's that?
1-800.
1-800.
822.
822.
9009.
900. Would they be in now?
I don't know, sir.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Thanks for your help.
We got the number they weren't going to give us when they heard information, so now we have their corporate security number. All we got is a
We've
phone
just
number.
informed
so far.
hackers 1, AT&T 0.
I'm a little, okay, let's try to figure this one out together. I'm a little unclear as to who I should be. I mean, why am I calling these people asking them for information? We need a good plausible excuse.
You've been receiving calls, several calls for asking for proprietary sensitive information.
Who am I? We're in marketing on a Sunday.
Well, first off, you need a location.
Uh-huh.
So 32 Avenue of the Americas is here in Manhattan,
Okay.
and is an AT&T headquarters building.
Okay.
So and we know that that address will ring a bell with them. So we're at 32 Avenue of the Americas.
Is there a particular bit of information we want to get from them?
I don't know. They've got a big buzz still.
Oh, yeah, instructions on what you're supposed to do when the hackers call. Just a little bit on the warp side there. All right, let's dial. Yeah, this is group effort here.
Should have video.
Did everybody else write that number down?
Can I be quiet?
AT&T Corporate Security, this is Jim. How may I help you?
Yeah, hi. This is Mr. Goldstein. I'm over in sales on the Americas. I've gotten a memo about something that might be going on this weekend. I was wondering if you could give me more information
Okay.
concerning something having to do with information being obtained by people that weren't supposed to obtain it or something like that. It's very sketchy. I heard it third hand, but there's something that we should be a little bit more careful this weekend. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, you should definitely be careful about giving any information. I mean, it's always a good idea to be especially careful of giving out information if somebody's calling in. And this weekend what's going on is some sort of a conference, and for hackers, and they're calling in and doing a live demonstration. So they'll call into different businesses and whatnot.
I don't understand. What's the purpose behind that?
Well, to obtain information so that they can use that to defraud, probably ultimately to defraud you or your business.
You're saying there's a whole conference of people doing this?
That's what I understand, right?
And that's legal?
I don't know the legalities around it. I guess, for them to meet is not illegal, but, certainly if they do something that's, I don't know all what's surrounding it, but in a nutshell, be on the lookout, this weekend and anytime. Today I know was the day that, by the way, the memo that you had received was, you received an email or how did it?
Actually, a co-employee who has since lost the memo told me about it, and that's why I'm calling for clarification. Is there any way to get another copy of that?
Now, you were an AT&T?
Yeah, rent the Americas.
Okay. Do you have what was your name?
So my name is Mr. Goldstein, Armand. If I give you a fax number, would you be able to just send that over?
Well, I don't.
But I just find it amazing that you say there's a group of people that are planning to do something and nothing can be done to stop them.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know,
It's outrageous.
freedom of, because they're covered under the First Amendment to meet, and this is not, I mean, this is not something that's actually hidden from the public. It's more or less, you know, that, I mean, they can't obviously in the meeting advocate doing anything illegal, but but the things that they may talk about in the meeting are for that purpose of probably hackers, you know, it is
Yeah.
that type of thing. But in general, like I said, yeah, anytime somebody calls in and asks for something like, you know, information that you wouldn't normally give out, it's just a good idea to get, or if they're claiming to be with a phone company or anything like that, or obtain information that you don't feel comfortable giving out. The memo just states, you know, don't do what they're asking without asking for their callback number, their name, and then call them back and verify that they're who they say they are, and all of that. That's the only thing the memo stated. I know it was AT&T today.
Okay, and it went out to every AT&T office, I assume more than just locally, right?
Yeah, well, I know it was available in AT&T today on Friday, I believe. I can see here. Can you hold for a moment?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thanks for holding. Your last name was Goldstein.
Yeah.
And what was
You know, this speakerphone is really, it's a Radio Shack speakerphone.
Okay. What was your first name?
Armand, A-R-M-A-N-D. Anyway,
I was just looking in internally to see if you're on the email list there. I didn't see your name here.
no. No, it's not likely you would.
Okay. Why would that be?
Well, basically, we were just making our first phone call. We wanted to-
Telephone.
They just kind of handed that one to us, didn't they?
Sweet.
I think he was starting to suspect.
He was like, okay.
Well, you have to understand social engineering, there becomes a point of no return where you just can't recover. And that's when you just, you know, whatever.
He hung up. That's precious. Oh, hey.
Okay, so if you guys want to tell some stories,
Yeah.
we'll get Kevin.
Oh, hey, introduce myself. I'm Virus. Did anybody actually make my virus talk today? Yeah. Yo, thanks. Love you, man. I'm actually from California. My first trip out here to New York. Actually, that's not true. I was out here when I was a year and a half. Don't remember anything. And this place is awesome. I really like that here. I was also a professional magician for 15 years. So being a professional magician, basically as a magician, you are social engineering when you're on stage 24/7. But on top of that, I like to get a lot of free stuff. So we're going to discuss a couple different techniques and stories here. I have some techniques if you want to go out and have some fun. There's some specific things you can do that'll actually help you out a lot. One is dealing with props. I have discovered that if you have a hard hat, a clipboard, and you're wearing a suit, you can go anywhere the hell you want. Kid you not. I've been to 2 Rush concerts, went to Pink Floyd, and I went to Oingo Boingo. Did not buy a ticket. Walked in, said, "Hi, safety inspector." This is when I had short hair. Walked right through, he said, "Oh, no problem," and gave me a security escort, basically took me anywhere I wanted to go. And I said, oh, okay, I'm cool. Do you mind if I just sit here and like enjoy the show? Hey, no sweat, you know. No problems. The thing with the social engineering is when you first start, I mean, if you're going to commit, you have to commit 100%. You can't back out. You can't start sweating. Can't start shaking. Anything you say to the person, you have to believe yourself 150%. You know, if I'm telling you that I'm a safety inspector, I've got to believe that I'm a safety inspector, and I've got to act like a safety inspector, or it's not going to work. And then people with badges walk away with you, and that's not fun. So I mean, start looking at the part and start looking at what you need to do to get into the places you want to go. Remember that people inherently will trust you 100% of the time. Well, maybe not 100%, but most of the time. If you act like you belong there, they'll now let you walk through. I've gone into many, many places just because I'll just start walking right to the door, looking very determined, look at the guard, go, what's up? Boom, right through. And you go, okay. You know, obviously I belong there because I said, hey, how you doing? Get the eye contact, get the recognition.
Be friendly.
Be friendly. That's one of the best ways you can do things. I got into the pit of the Indianapolis 500 this year. It was actually the pole trials. I was down there, went down to the pole trials, and I said, you know, I want to get into the pits. I want to check this out. Well, the securities were at each side of the gates, and they were blocking everybody in. If you didn't have a pit pass, you could not get in. So I waited until one of the guards was distracted, and just as she was being distracted, I walked by the other guy, I slapped on his shoulder and said, yo man, what's up? Good to see you again. And I walked right towards the pit and started talking to one of the pit crew. And it's like, hey, how you doing, man? But what he sees is me sitting there talking to a pit crew and pointing at the car and discussing things with the car. Where I'm actually like, hey, man, how you doing? Good to see you. You know, what's happening? And he's like, oh, obviously he belongs here, you know. And I just start walking up and down the pits and said, okay, I'm bored with this. Let's go find something else to get involved with. But it's all determination and it's your attitude. Your attitude is going to carry you or drop you one way or the other. Give you a quick little story of one thing I did. I like to play practical jokes. I think practical jokes are the funnest thing in the whole world. But I don't like to do it to my friends as much as I like to do to, like, you know, the lay person. So we actually got a radio, one of the old brick bulky radios, and we hauled it out and put a tape recorder inside of it. So if you press the talk button, it actually would play the tape. And I dressed up in a suit, a hard hat, and a clipboard, and got into an elevator in a building, and grabbed the thing and pressed the button and said, yeah, this is John, I'm going up to the 14th floor, I'm in elevator 3, I'm going to inspect elevator number 2. And then all of a sudden you're, did you say elevator number 3? And I start talking, yeah, that's right, elevator 3. He goes, oh man, you have to get out of there, they're working on the cables. So I calmly walked off the elevator to the next floor and almost got trampled. And then the next thing I know, there's a lot of these people like running towards the elevators and, you know, inspection crews and maintenance people, and we left quick.
Okay, actually I should probably talk to this phone to avoid the horrible feedback. Ready? Yeah. We have, Myron?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
No. Turn the phone up.
I hear you.
Kevin is with us, Kevin Mitnick. According to John Markoff, New York Times, Kevin is probably the most dangerous social engineer in the history of the world. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but well, Kevin can probably explain it better.
No, I don't. Well, we all know that the media hyped me up, and John Markoff specifically, so he could create a character and write a book about me and profits. But everybody knows about that, and it's a pretty worn out subject. But I'm sorry I'm not able to be with at H2K. The probation department has taken the position that I can't travel, so obviously I can't go to New York. However, I'm pretty much allowed to go to Las Vegas because my family's there, and that's pretty much the travel that they're going to let me do. Let's see. This is a social engineering panel, so I can tell you a story of what kind of things that I used to do when I was like phone freaking phone companies on the West Coast had a thing called a non-pub bureau. And whenever a manager or, I guess, a first-level supervisor needed to get an unlisted number, and they only had the name and the city, they'd have to call a division within the phone company called the non-pub bureau, and they would have a list of authorized people that were allowed to receive that information. And what they would simply do is ask you for your callback number, ask you who you are, and then once you gave them all the requests that all the requests you wanted, what they would do is just simply call you back. And so what I thought about is, what I simply needed to do was have them call me back and, verify who I was to, get this information. So what I did is how I first started out is I needed to get the telephone number to the non-pub bureau in the phone company that I was interested in targeting. So what I simply did was call the business office and use some sort of pretext or ruse, usually that I was a different representative from a different office, or that I was from the non-pub bureau itself, and then I would use some sort of ruse. Usually I did this all by improv, except that, I was really had I was really trying to, I would say if I really had a true target, then I would do my homework, but pretty much everything was improvised. And I basically say something to the effect, I am with the non-pub bureau. I had some representatives, claim that they were having trouble getting through to our main number, and then I, would, kind of exchange pleasantries and try to establish some sort of degree of trust with who I was speaking with, and then I basically asked, the main question was, what number are you calling for us? But I would have to ask other questions that, so it wouldn't really tip them off to what I was really after. And then once I obtained the number of the non-pub bureau, then I would simply call around to first-level supervisors or second-level managers, and how those numbers would be obtained is just simply by asking, the customer service reps for them. And then I would ask, I would represent myself as being from this non-pub bureau, and ask, if they were authorized, and, to receive the numbers, because what we're doing is we're updating the list, and we want to make sure that if you are authorized, you're on it, or if you're not, we can fax you a form, or, some sort of ruse like that. And usually, they would tell you. And right away, you'd already know what their callback number is, because you already have their number that you're calling. So now you have a valid name and a valid callback number. So then what I would simply do is call the area of the phone company that handled that particular telephone service. Now, it could have either been done through accessing the switch and adding call forwarding to the number, which usually they already had call forwarding, or in instructing the switch to forward the number to whatever target number you wanted, a payphone, a cell phone, or whatever. Or you'd simply, simply at the time call up the assignment bureau within the phone company, find out the blocking or the cable impaired, and call the frame, and just have one of the frame techs clip onto the line and forward the number for me to wherever I wanted to receive the call. So then I would call up the non-pub bureau. I would say that I'm so-and-so. If I call back to so-and-so, it would be validated. Then they'd call me back, and then they would, pretty much answer, give me all the requests that I had, and I'd simply either call the frame and have them clip on the line and deactivate the call forwarding, or I'd go into the switch itself and deactivate the call forwarding myself. So that was that's like a story of how, just by social engineering, I was able to basically obtain anybody's unlisted telephone number. And most likely, those techniques probably could still be used today unless, these phone companies really, create some, policies and procedures, and the people follow them to the T. Because a lot of ways that social engineering was accomplished was doing some homework, finding out who was important in the organization, kind of the hierarchy or people that work for certain groups, trying to get some names, get some extensions, trying to location, who managed what project. And then I would try to, in other words, do intelligence gathering, try to find out any tidbits that I possibly can, and then, if possible, try to find out if they have voicemail systems, if they had email, what faxes existed in what locations, and that way, I could, if I wanted to, I could have set up prior some sort of false authentication, if you will, where if there was a question of who I really was, that could be verified either by fax, telephone, or email, or voicemail. And what I used to be able to do is infiltrate these systems and establish, a valid callback, a valid fax number, have somebody create me a voicemail box off their PBX, and that way, if there was any question, that that they can call back and verify. And I don't know if you're still in the line, Eric, but
Yeah, we have a ridiculous setup here, but it works.
It's kind of hard who I'm speaking with and stuff like that. But I was just giving like some examples. Like for instance, I remember, I think this was like over 10 years ago, with AirTouch, which was a cellular provider in Los Angeles. I think Verizon recently talked about. But in any event, when I wanted to obtain information from AirTouch Cellular, what I would simply do is I called up the voicemail administrator and basically posed as an employee that was with AirTouch in one of their other markets, because they have other markets like in San Francisco or Atlanta. And that convinced the person, usually like to improvise ruse that I needed to be able to receive a voicemail at the local office, so I would have to make a phone call back to my office, say in Atlanta or something like that. And what they would usually do is they'd be trying, because they're trained to be helpful and really not trained to really question. So what they would do is go ahead and set up a voicemail box, an internal voicemail box. So anytime you call anybody in the company trying to obtain information, you had a valid extension off their PBX because you had a voicemail box, and they would simply really believe that you are who you say you are. It was just really, it was really easy to me to be able to do this type of stuff. And then, when I was hacking, it depended on, my objectives. If I really wanted to be stealth and not really raise any suspicion, then the only social engineering I would do would be to get information, subtly, not really call up anybody and have them do anything that really they're going to remember. Because the media, pretty much, when I read reports about social engineering, they characterize it as simply calling up and talking to somebody after their password. And I don't think I've ever, maybe on one or two occasions, actually asked somebody for their password, because that's a huge red flag.
There's some corporate memos going around saying the same thing too.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag. One of the methods that would be the closest to that was successful was when you call somebody up and you're interacting with them, you can really determine how knowledgeable they are about the computer system that you're using. You can kind of get a gist for how, if they're suspicious, if they're really wondering if this call is legitimate, and really you're basing. It's very dynamic in the sense that you have to use some sort of people skills to determine if the person you're speaking with would be suspicious. If you ask them to do something, would that make them want to really verify who you really are? You can kind of get a sense for it. At least I was able to get a really good sense for it when I was speaking with people. And the closest, like if somebody was really gullible, they didn't have their computer knowledge was limited, then like some ruse would be, hey, I'm from the help desk. Somebody reported a problem. Can you work with me over the phone? But I'd like you to tell me everything that you're typing as you're doing it. And you have the person go through a whole bunch of stuff, where they're getting tired of it, and then I would have them either log off the system and log back on, and as they're doing that, they'd be telling me every keystroke that they're entering into the system, which would include their password. But I'd never be in a position where I would actually say, hey, what is your password? Because that's like a big red flag. And in these type of techniques that were used, I'd never do anything or suggest anything that would be questionable. And I hear all this feedback.
Yeah, well, it's a mystery to us too.
Oh, okay.
But Kevin, we only have about 10 minutes
All right,
left.
so that was basically it. There's a couple stories I thought that
What-
was interesting.
What we'd like to do is we'd like to open up to questions. I don't know if is there a microphone out there? It's not. People can come up here. We can put the mic
Yeah.
and stand. We only have a couple of minutes. If you have a question for Kevin, then just walk up to the stage.
Yeah, come up to the stage so you can get on the microphone.
And then hopefully Kevin will give an answer.
Okay. If you have a question, come up to the stage, speak on the microphone.
I can't hear.
Anybody?
Kevin Mitnick on the line. Somebody must have a question. Here we go.
Yeah, I have a question. How do you remember this so clearly after all the years you've been locked up?
Documented.
Can you hear that?
No,
Do you have an answer?
I couldn't hear it either.
Right, okay. How do you remember this so clearly after so many years?
I just have a good memory.
It's like telling us like step by step how to do it. It's just wondering.
Well, once you develop a process, you just keep using the same process. So it's not like, hey, I only did it one time.
I
And
can't hear anything on your side. I
Sorry.
hear people talking, but it's so loud.
Okay, I'll try to relay as much as I can. We have another question.
Hey Kevin, how are you? Welcome back. My first question is, how do you control your emotions? I think that's the hardest part of social engineering, is to control your emotions.
Okay, the question was, how do you control your emotions while social engineering?
Your emotions. Well, you try to make an emotional connection with the person on the other side, so you'll develop a trust. Because that's the whole idea. Is you want to create a sense of trust between you and the other person, so they're more apt to give you information without wanting you to really go through some sort of verification process. And that's what pretty much social engineering is all about, is establishing some degree of trust and then exploiting it.
also, a point on that also is if you just, back to what I stated before, you really need to believe what you're doing. You need to be convinced yourself. If you don't know if you can do that, do what a lot of us do, is just go out and take an acting class. Because that's all you're doing, is you're acting, but you've got to make it believable.
We have a second room filled with people that also want to ask questions, and we're relaying them via radio to us. So we have a question from the other room. Okay, let's go to this room.
How much research do you have to do into the role that you're playing as your social engineering?
Okay, the question is, how much research do you have to do into the role you're playing while social engineering?
Well, pretty much when I used to do this stuff, a lot of it was just improvised, it was improv, and it was just being in the moment, so to speak. But if I really wanted to get some information, then I do my homework. First of all, with the phone company, I really understood their lingo, so it was easy for me. So I tried to, the organization that's being targeted, I try to learn the internal lingo, try to learn tidbits of information that employees would only know, try to have other names so those names could be dropped. Like, for instance, when 60 Minutes profiled me on their show just in January, one of the examples I gave them was with Motorola. How I called up the engineering department and to try to find out who was the project manager, who were the people that had access to the development of the microtax series of cell phones, because I was interested in getting the source code. And I was transferred to a manager who told me that the project leader was on vacation, and that person also gave me the name of the project leader. So I was able to use that information when talking to people that work for that person to convince them to do things that they wouldn't have ordinarily done if they knew that I wasn't legitimate. What seems like the bottom line is if you really don't know the person and recognize their voice, you're really relying on some sort of, sense of trust. And, what I would suggest is if you're concerned about your employees or, social engineers, there should be some sort of verification mechanism in place to really verify who you are if they don't really recognize the person. And a lot of people won't go through the trouble to do that. They just want to get their job done. They want to be helpful. They're trained to be helpful. They're not trained to question. Maybe in the military that was, anything that you can do. But definitely in corporate America, people, are just interested in doing their job and, doing things with productivity. And I don't know if things have changed nowadays, 5 years later, with the explosion of the internet. But
A lot of things haven't changed.
I don't
Okay,
think-
we're trying to take as many questions as we can in the couple of minutes we have left. We have a question from the other room. Go ahead.
From the other room, over the radio came through, what advice would Kevin give to corporate types who need to avoid being social engineered themselves?
You ever talk on the
Okay.
phone?
The question is, what advice would you give to corporate types to avoid being social engineered themselves?
Well, corporate types, or I guess their employees, I guess it all comes down to user awareness and education. I guess if a videotape or TV workflow or any type of, audio-visual could be shown of, how this is done, how you could potentially be a mark. A mark is, a person that, is a victim of a crime, so to speak. And if they can see a demonstration and, it's all about raising their level of awareness. If their level of awareness is high, then there's people out there that do this type of thing and how easy it is done, and about really questioning anyone that they don't really personally know when they get a phone call. One thing that kind of was a deterrent to me is if I was calling these companies, and then they would say in their announcement that something about their monitoring for quality assurance. I don't know what the actual quote is, but you call these companies today and they say, hey, this quality takes their monitor to assure quality of the call. And that'd be kind of a deterrent because you never know if you're really being taped or not. And so that I see a consideration some organizations want to make when they, when their names, the exact line of the telephone numbers or whatever.
All right, Kevin, we only have time for one more question. It's my solemn duty to inform you that question comes from Rebel. So take it away. And please don't give out the email address.
The question is that I noticed that you're trying to get unlisted numbers. A lot of people ask me how to get unlisted numbers. I notice you have to go through a lot of steps. Is there any way to go through less steps to do certain things, or does more tasks take more steps to do, like getting an unlisted number or getting into a building or things like that?
Rebel wants to know how to get unlisted numbers.
Great. What are you trying to do? As soon as I hang up the phone, I'm going to have the FBI knocking on my door. Come on.
Actually,
How you get unlisted numbers? Go hire a private eye. I'm sure, there's a lot of private eyes out there that hire people that are information brokers that basically can get anything. And that's how private investigators kind of insulate themselves from breaking the law, because of all these new federal laws being passed about motor vehicle records. They just farm it out to information brokers that, charge high fees, but they get the information. Obviously, everybody in the audience knows nobody has any private, any information about, you personally in any database that's accessible by any government or federal or state employee is pretty much an open book to anybody else.
Okay, Kim, I want to thank you very much for being part of this. Sorry he can't be here.
I'm glad to be here telephonically, and I just want to thank everybody out there for all the support they've shown me over the years, and hopefully at the next maybe whenever that is, maybe next year or whenever, then hopefully I'll be able to have the honor of meeting everybody. But,
Okay, we'll get that film to you one way or another so you can finally see it.
yeah, great. I'd love to see it. All right.
Thanks for the
Everybody
panelists.
have a great time, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, Kevin.
Take care. Bye-bye.
closing here, if you really, really want something, one of the recommendations I can make to you guys is play on other people's emotions. And it sounds really horrible, but it's true. If you call up the operator and you need an unlisted number, you know, there's things you can do. I've gotten unlisted numbers on people, you know, that I really needed to contact for legitimate reasons, but I knew AT&T or whoever wasn't going to give me those numbers, and they say, hey, look, man, his grandmother just died. I need to get a hold of him, like, right now. You know, it's like, boom, number, you know. And I mean, it's like, just be cool about it, you know.
Yeah, sure. Any final remarks?
Actually, you know, we could call AT&T and say, hey, you know, we're John from security, and we want.
John from security.
Was that the guy's name, John?
He's John from security.
Jim from security. Going, yeah, this is Jim from security.
Security is going to have an
Corporate
interesting
security,
report to
give
fill
that
out.
phone number as his callback number.
Yeah, that's true.
He'll remember that for the rest of his life. If you walk across the street and go to a newsstand, you'll get today's copy of Newsday. There's a huge article in it about the whole DVD case, and it mentions the conference as well. And the amazing thing about this article, I can't find a single factual error. I mean, they're getting the story right.
Wow, right on.
They got this David takes on Goliath thing, and they got, you know, Goliath's picture over there, Jack Valente, and they really did a good job. So if you can find copies of Newsday over there, by all means pick one up. This comes out the day before the trial. It's a good thing. Okay, we've got some catching up to do, so I think John Johansson and his dad are going to be in the main stage, and the rest of track 2 will be in here. Is that right? Okay.
Hey, thanks.
All right, we'll figure it all out.
Yeah, sound guy, can we turn Emmanuel's mic up a little bit, please? Like, all the way? Up.
Anything? It's getting better. Ah, that's
Yeah.
There we go.
All me. It was all me.
I don't have much to say anyway. Like me.
Debate.
Have we verified we have a signal going to the other room? Join us with the audio. It shouldn't take very long. It only took us an hour on Friday to figure it out. So we had it working before.
By the way, the phone number for
This
corporate
Chris, the
headquarters-
AV guy, give him a round of applause there.
phone number for corporate headquarters,
Oh yeah, good.
Okay.
908-221-2000 is AT&T corporate headquarters, Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Perhaps that's where we should try to reach corporate security.
Okay.
Yeah, just ask for, you know, say, hey, look.
Well, we've got this memo, what we just need.
All right. Why don't they might not be open? Which is kind of weird when you think of it.
So we still don't have audio together, right?
I'm waiting for.
We have audio.
Hello, other room.
Okay. You're not missing anything because there's no video except our faces and.
Y'all already know what we look like.
Yeah.
Unless you're a federal officer, then you don't really know. You need to know what we look like. So.
Okay, well, I want to start with.
Oh!
The projector's busted. How nice. We could go without those people, I guess. People on that room, a bunch of losers. Well, they can't hear me say that, so it doesn't matter.
For those of you who are just
None of you are going to tell them. Whoever's been imitating my voice, stop it now. Not funny.
Yeah, Chester, you do a really good Emmanuel. Gosh.
Just so people know, this is a social engineering panel, but we're also kind of co-opting it into a Kevin Mitnick panel because we're actually able to get him to join us by a phone link. The problem, there's a slight problem in that we are trying to get the phone line here, and we have to bribe the hotel people to let us use one of their lines, so we're in the process of doing that. We have a line. Okay, the bribe has gone through.
All me. Yes.
Okay, first, does anybody have that request a callback number and check it before returning the call? Verify the person is an AT&T employee or legitimate customer, and if he or she has a need to know. If you can't verify employment or the number, don't give out the information. Any incident or apparent attempt to compromise the security of the company's network and or computer systems should be reported immediately to AT&T Corporate Security. I think AT&T Corporate Security should be the first target. I'd like some more information about this myself. So I guess what we have to do is we have to get, first of all, do we have a link to the other room? I want to make sure they're
Can
okay?
they hear us?
Hang on, can they hear us in the other room?
Okay, can they hear us in the other room? I guess my mic is not on.
Okay, we're not going to go forward to a few people showed me a little press release from AT&T. Could someone bring that up? This is really kind of cool. Goes to show how the power of suggestion.
What's up, yo? Should I come up here?
Yes, no, yes, no.
Go that way.
Don't worry about your foot.
Go through there.
Okay, this a bunch of people got this little memo. Be aware of who is calling. AT&T Security warns employees this weekend to be especially careful about giving proprietary company information to anyone claiming to be an AT&T employee or customer as part of a H2K hacker conference. July 14th to 16th in New York City, there is a social engineering contest.
Oh, that was painful. Thank you.
There was a social engineering contest where hackers try to use the phone in an attempt to gain proprietary information about a company. If anyone unknown to you calls for such information,